Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Alexandria, and I decided that I wanted to share my story with as many people that would listen and that would view this video. The name of my channel is called Journey to Motherhood. In January of 2017, I became pregnant with my first pregnancy, and 5 weeks later I discovered that I was having a miscarriage. I was devastated. I couldn't understand how God would allow me to get pregnant and then take the baby from me. So I went to this great clinic. It's a Christian clinic here in Chicago. Went to this great clinic, and well, that's not actually before then. Anywho, so I had a good doctor. 2 months later, I became pregnant again, and I was so happy. Me and my husband were so thrilled and so excited. It was like we were finally like, okay, this is the promise that God has given us, and and this time I had a really good doctor. I had my second doctor, and 8 weeks into the pregnancy, because I had already had a miscarriage, and because of my age, I'm currently 37 years old, they decided to give me an early ultrasound. So I went to the hospital for the ultrasound that morning. I think my appointment was at like 11 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was with my mom. And I went in for the ultrasound. And they were looking for the baby. And I could tell by the technician's facial expressions that something wasn't right. But I had no clue, because I didn't know anything about, I never thought I would experience a miscarriage. And so I definitely never thought I would experience any other complications due to trying to have a child. And so she called a specialist in, and they did a, what do you call it? A vaginal ultrasound. And then I really knew something was wrong. And in listening to them, they weren't talking directly to me, but in listening to the specialist and the technician, I could hear them saying that the uterus was empty. Meaning, yes, I'm pregnant, but the baby is not in the uterus. And so it was explained to me that I basically had an ectopic pregnancy. And so then they were looking for the baby. Found out the baby was in my left fallopian tube. And so I was devastated. I was angry. I was angry at everyone. I was angry at God. I couldn't believe that God would allow me again to lose another baby. But I still didn't understand what an ectopic pregnancy was. And so I proceeded to leave the ultrasound room, and they told me, no, you can't leave. You have to get admitted. You have to have surgery today. And I was completely shocked. I never had surgery in my life. Kind of prided myself on that. But that day, I ended up sitting in the emergency room for, I want to say 5 or 6 hours, until I was admitted for surgery. I was admitted for surgery at 9 o'clock that evening. And some of the reason was because I had decided I needed a little snack. So I had like gummy bears or something. And they had to wait until, like, I guess that was kind of out of my system, because they didn't want to give me the anesthesia with the, food in my stomach, so to speak. But besides that, I hadn't eaten anything, because after I left the ultrasound room, they called my doctor at the clinic. And this is when I found out that my doctor was a Christian. And she explained the situation to me, basically what was happening. And then she asked me, could she pray for me? And as she prayed for me, I just cried and cried. But it was so comforting to know that God had placed people in my life that could call on God when I felt like I couldn't. Oh, okay. All right, that's over. I didn't intend to cry. I don't like crying. So, long story short, I had the surgery, and they had to remove my left fallopian tube. The baby was in the fallopian tube. The baby did have a heartbeat. And for whatever reason, it was comforting for me to know that it was a healthy baby, because it meant that I could have healthy babies. It's just this baby didn't make it to the uterus. And so from there, my wonderful doctor, she decided that she wanted to make sure that I wasn't falling into depression. She wanted to make sure I was grieving properly. So she set up an appointment with a psychologist that dealt with issues such as mine. And I began to go to her. I don't like talking about the pain in my life, but in this situation, I had never been in this situation before of being traumatized and experiencing loss on this level. And so I began going to the psychologist, not often, but every time I would have an appointment. And when you have an ectopic pregnancy, when you have an ectopic surgery, you have to go to the doctor often so that you can get, checked up and make sure that your wounds are healing properly, and that you are able to get pregnant again. And so my doctor, knowing my age, because at first she wanted to put me on birth control and all these little things. That's Mittens. She wanted to put me on birth control, and I didn't want that because I'm 37. I don't want any kind of side effects that would prolong me getting pregnant again. And thankfully, I didn't have to go on birth control at all. I didn't want the side effects of what it does to your body either. And me and my husband were able to start trying again after I healed. I think that was about 6 weeks. And we just began to believe God, even though I still, at that time, was very hurt, very emotional. I cried at the drop of a dime, like just out of the blue, thinking about what had happened to me, the now 2 losses that I had within the beginning of the year. I had my ectopic my ectopic surgery was in May. So I had lost the baby in January, lost the baby in May. And, but me and my husband, even though it was very difficult, we kept believing God. Kept believing God, kept seeking God, kept praying. We'll get others to pray with us. And when did I get pregnant? Jaquay! Yeah. When did I get pregnant again? Around September. Yes, okay. So in September of 2017, we found out we were pregnant again. And as you can see, I have a nice belly bump. I am currently 6 months pregnant. This is my 3rd pregnancy, and this is going to be my first birth. My 2 other babies are in heaven. That's what I tell myself. That's what I believe. And I'm thankful for everything that God has brought me through. and how he sent people in my life, particularly my doctor, to comfort me. Every doctor's visit I went to before I got pregnant for the third time, she would pray for me. Every doctor's visit. And I would just cry and cry and cry and cry. And I thank God for friends that prayed for me, even when I didn't know they were praying for me. And for my family, for believing God for me. I'm not about to cry. Nope. Ha. So, with that being said, the purpose of my channel is to encourage those that have been through similar things that I have been through. Sometimes it's very hard to believe God. Sometimes it's very hard to believe God. And to believe His promises. And to have faith. But God is a God of promises. Oh, and I wanted to share what I've been through, because when I lost the first baby, I went to the internet to try to find encouragement, and it wasn't many people that were willing to talk about, or it's more of a secret, their pregnancy loss. And what I went through, I have found out that so many people I knew, including family members, had experienced pregnancy loss that I had no idea. And I don't like the fact that we keep it such a secret when your story could be the healing that somebody else needs. Oh, so with that said, I just thank God for what He took me through, what He took my husband through. It was hard, but and even in that situation, God is teaching me that He is always there, and He'll never leave you nor forsake you. Whew. So I hope that some portion of my story on today will bless someone and help them to know that God is able, to stay encouraged, and just keep believing God and keep trusting Him. All right, I'm done crying. Okay.